They are without a doubt the most prolific family in American politics, with a ton of success, a ton of charm, and also a ton of tragedy, which begs the question, is the Kennedy family cursed? Tonight on American Loser.
Fill her up!
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
On the edge they take the throne, built on bones of those unknown. Not in first, never last, still erased from the past. I am an American loser. No one remembers my name. No legacy and no future. One step behind in the game.
All right. Folks, you know what time it is. It's time for a weird story from American history, because the show's called American Loser. We're in our gas digital era. My name's KP Burke. I'm your host. And we're going to put the spotlight firmly on second place, although in this particular story, it's right on first place and just how shitty first place can be sometimes. If you guys don't know the deal on the show, this is what we do each week. It's a weird, messed up story from American history. And if you're a loser devotee, thanks for coming back. We love you. All right, the show only exists because of you guys, so thank you for that. And of course, thank you to Gas Digital having us on over here. We love being part of the network. We love growing this thing, and we love getting to work with the great people in the booth. Number one, employee of the month yet again, okay? Yet again.
Month after month, it just keeps on rolling.
Twice since I've known him, Dad. Twice since I've known him, Dom has been the prestigious employee of the month. And by the way, I think Alex only got it that 1 month because they fired her husband and they didn't want her to quit. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Okay?
There's the hook.
So, and of course, no, we absolutely love and adore our creator, the guy who got us in over here, Dr. Michael Harrington, who's amazing, and he has been a seamless transition. Our new producer, Paco, I become more fond of you with each passing week, buddy. How you doing this week?
Doing all right.
He's great. He goes, listen, dude, love your show. I have to be out at 6:50. I'm gonna go do Fat Black Pussycat with Bobby Kelly. And I was like, you know what, dude? Sometimes I have to go do that too. So I get it. I understand that one. But love those two guys in the booth there. Love you fans that are checking us out. Everything too. I'm at KP Burke Sucks over on Instagram. We're putting out new reels. Our good buddy Blind Mike is putting out a couple of winners, and we're going to get back more towards our 90-second format stuff for Instagram. But my girl being all preggers and stuff kind of has that thrown into a couple of things now.
A couple other things on her mind.
Yeah, and also loser devotees know that voice. And if you don't know that voice, it's not Nick Offerman, folks. It's my dad, Larry Burke, the real-life Nick Offerman.
KP, thanks for having me once again.
I hear you. Well, when my car is in the shop and you have to drop it off for me because I have your pickup truck, then I force you to come into the East Village.
The only way you can get here is through your dad. So. So, there we go.
Well, men are what their fathers make them. That's something I like to think.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's what I would like to think on that one. Now
so I pushed you into comedy? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. It was because... I told you I'd prefer to be you, a funny shop teacher, but then I can't swing a hammer to save my life. I have to cut the trees down in the woods. That's how I make it work.
Right. You start the project.
I can help make the lumber. I can't apply it in a meaningful way.
Right.
But I do want to say also real quickly before diving into a very excellent topic. Lynn Koplitz and I last week talked about Kick Kennedy, who's kind of the forgotten Kennedy. Pretty great episode there. Lynn is like my fairy godmother in comedy. She can also bully me into anything. So I just remember I skipped over like 3 pages of notes. I was like, she's just going to make fun of me the whole time. So now we get to give you guys the nitty gritty details on this one. But first, Paco, do we have an update on Mike Harrington? I believe he landed a job. Is that true?
Actually, we actually do have that breaking information.
Fantastic, man. I know. Whoa, Mike Harrington, new head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Honestly, good for you, bud.
With the emphasis on Brown.
It's well, the key is that Stefanski got a rough deal. This is not going to be an NFL show, guys. I promise you. But you know what? It's a cursed franchise, and Mike Harrington, if he can turn that around in there, I do believe he can probably get hired back here again. If he can take the Browns to a Super Bowl, I think that will make up for whatever shortcomings he had here that led to his end of employment here. I'm kidding. He still works for the network in different capacities. Mikey, we love you. So congrats on the Browns. Enjoy Shador and his overbearing father. That being said, LP, I got to bring you in for this one because, first of all, you're going to be South Beach Larry by this time next week.
Yes, we're getting ready to, with all the snowbirds to fly south.
Yep, he goes down a couple of months every year, and then I have to sit. Now, the best part about being on gas is I have, more guests I can bring in and stuff. I don't have to sit there and call up Cousin Kelly and be like, need you again, Kel. Sorry, come on in.
Calling in La Familia.
That's So I'm excited on this one because, by the way, this is like a family episode, but it's crazy just how deep.
This is a deep-rooted family for sure.
Man, I don't want to ask too many questions of the guys in the booth because Dom always gives great answers.
He's a little too learned.
Yeah, Dom's a very smart man. Paco, what do you know about the Kennedy family off the top of your head, buddy?
They're sexy,
He's right.
and then one of them got shot.
More than one. But
so you're right. You're right. But there's when I tell you the stuff that this family has been through, it's insane. We figured this out, the math, the other day. I write about 5 pages of notes. It's a little short form essay that only makes sense to me. But when I get something we dig in deep on, like Ruby Ridge or whatever, that was 7 pages. This family is 7 teetering on 8 pages. So we're going to rip through it.
Yeah, and that's cutting it short on a lot of aspects of it too.
Yeah, because each one, there's 52 weeks in a year. I could do 52 episodes just on the different Kennedy family members. But let's not do that. Let's try to paint with the broad strokes here.
Boil it down.
I'm ready to roll if you are, fella.
Okay.
All right. The Kennedys are seemingly as charmed as they are possibly cursed. The idea of a Kennedy family curse has spanned newspapers and stories from my father's childhood well into my own. They are timeless, but tragedy is also timeless. To explain it in the simplest terms, the Kennedys are sometimes like the mascot of America. The show, it's weird. They can show you how every great part of the American dream, and they can also show you every part of the American nightmare. So whatever opinion you have about the Kennedys, you're right. There's something that's going to back up your particular. So to really try to dive in on them, it goes nuts.
There's evidence behind every viewpoint that you might have on the Kennedy clan.
Yeah, it's confirmation bias, they would call that, I think. Right?
There you go.
Hard to separate fact from myth, but here it goes when we talk about them, because a lot of people believe that the Kennedys are like America's royal family, and I think that's true. And the royals, there's a lot of decorum, there's a lot of cool factor to it, tradition, history, and then also we love a good scandal. And this family gives you everything.
Yep.
They really do. And they're not done yet either, folks. This curse that we're going to talk about that truly starts during the early days of World War II is still in the newspapers as of 2025. Mm-hmm. This is one of our first episodes of 2026.
It goes multi-generational.
Yeah, I've heard that saying that the sins of the father are, paid by the sons or the children of the father. Right. And it's, I don't know who did what wrong, but there is a reason why RFK, that's Bobby Kennedy, not RFK Jr., who comes in later in the episode.
Robert Fitzgerald Kennedy.
Yes, RFK, who is, again, one of the prolific ones here. He does make a quote one time. He just goes, somebody up there doesn't like us. Because tragedy just hits this family, man. Now, in a weird way, they were already sort of royalty back in Ireland. We talked about this a little bit with Lynn last week. 12th century Ireland, meaning 1100 AD. There's a short-lived kingdom near modern Tipperary in Ireland called the Kingdom of Ormond. And it is ruled by 3 clans, one of which is the O'Canady, which is the crazy extra 30 vowels in your name,
right.
Gaelic version.
When you take Irish names, you got to add a couple of letters. A lot of them are going to be silent, and you just kind of have to figure it out. But to try to anglicize some of the Celtic origins, it's very difficult. But O'Canady is a good way of putting it.
Well, Irish and English interactions throughout history have always been pretty tumultuous. We'll say tumultuous.
Yeah, that's a kind word, tumultuous.
But when I see it, I'm like, man, they really just destroyed the Irish culture and everything like that. And
800 years of oppression we'll call that tumultuous.
Yes, and that's putting it politely, I would say.
There you go.
But this Kennedy family starts in Ireland, obviously, and then always kind of hangs on to their roots. It's not hard to stay Irish when you're in Massachusetts. I think that's...
Yeah, there's a couple other guys that just like you.
Yeah, so like a guy that looks like me, where people think I'm from Boston all the time. They hear an East Coast accent and they just see me and they're like, Mike Cannon, who we just bumped into there, he goes, hey, how important is the movie The Departed to you? Because I feel like it's really important to you.
That's the family album.
Oh, man. Well, the Kennedys, unfortunately, for ease of storytelling here, that kingdom's not going to last long, even though they're kind of royals over there. They get stripped of their titles and disregarded amongst the new ruling class. The Kennedys will move to Wexford County, Ireland, which is where the first modern Kennedy is born. First one, by the way, the names are crazy. They recycle names worse than the Italians.
I remember when your sister was trying to do our family background or family tree, is like, hey, do you Irish have any other, other than like 6 or maybe 8 different names that you just keep recycling over and over again?
And that's when you said, no, Kerry, we don't. Patrick Kennedy and his wife Bridget are going to be the first ones to make the jump from Ireland to East Boston, 1848. Arrives as an immigrant, works as a barrel maker, helps to do his part in the tradition of blue-collar Irish folks in Boston of having way too many children. Patrick and Bridget will have 5 kids, the most noteworthy of whom will be P.J. Kennedy, okay, which I'm pretty sure is Patrick Joseph.
Yeah, 5 kids. That was a small family. You got to remember, there's no television, there's no cable, there's no birth control. So, I mean, what else are you going to do at night?
Yeah, there is that great Monty Python sketch, too, of the Protestant family across the street from the Catholic family. And it's the Protestant guy's like, well, I hope that, perhaps maybe we could have coitus at some point here soon. And then the Catholic Irish family across the street, the mom's washing dishes and another baby comes out. She goes, you were right. I was pregnant. So PJ is the youngest of the kids, but he becomes, probably part of the first part of the curse of this family. He's the only surviving male due to his father and brother dying of cholera, which cholera sounds terrible until you try to pronounce it in a Boston accent. Cholera. He's cholera. Yeah. It's cholera. My dad died of cholera. What, cholera cunt? Is that what you fucking mean?
Yeah. The big C of the day.
100%. Now, he will begin several traditions within the Kennedy family, higher education, labor jobs to become a business owner, and becomes amongst, if not the first, to enter into American politics. He will use business dealings, his education, his charm, and the fact that he owned a few bars. That's always going to get you some friends in Boston.
That's right. That gets a couple votes.
You got to go where everyone knows your name. All right?
That's right.
But
it's a Boston tradition, too.
Another Boston tradition is an intense, and I truly mean intense, Democratic machine out of there.
Right.
They are, I've heard it said that Massachusetts is the bluest state in the Union. And they're not even like what you would call a liberal nowadays. They're Democrats. It's crazy how different of an animal that is. And the Kennedy family is going to dive in on that. They understand how to sell it as well, too.
Right. And then early on, too, I mean, with the Irish immigrants, to get organized was the key to success. That you're coming over to this country. You just left Ireland in 1848. He leaves Ireland, and now he's come, and that's at the height of the Great Famine, the Great Hunger.
Famine era.
So,
in
I mean,
Ireland.
you're leaving Ireland because, well, at least America, you might be able to get something to eat. So you're coming over to America, and you're meeting oppression in the new America, as you might pronounce it. And then, if we don't get organized and we don't band together here, we're going to be facing the same shit that we had just left the old country for.
Right.
So,
we didn't come all this way over here to start fighting England's wars. That was a comment they made about the Irish trying to enter into World War I.
So, I mean, they realized early on that if we get organized, we can become a part of the political machine, if you will. There's power in numbers. So if we can bring ourselves to organize, we can vote ourselves into a better stature. So, I mean, this guy's a laborer. He's a barrel maker. He's a laborer, but he's shrewd enough to understand that if we get organized and start to create this political machine, that we can strengthen the whole community, if you will.
It's pretty intense too, man. And it's if you want to know, Boston is always kind of one. I think that's because they only have one sports team for everything. So there's Boston loyalty in Massachusetts and New England and everything like that. New York a little bit different, but the New York Democratic machine is Tammany Hall. We did a 3-part episode on that way back in the day. Back catalog only available at Gas Digital. Use promo code loser. Check that out. That's as close to a book as I ever came to writing before I actually put out my book. History Isn't Boring. Your Teacher was available on Amazon, folks. Check it out.
There you go. Nice plug. Nice segue.
We're getting good at this. We're starting to get good at this. But yeah, PJ is interesting because, like I said, owning these bars and everything, getting involved in the Democratic machine, he becomes a behind-the-scenes boss. I don't want to distract anybody too much here, but I've always said it. I've heard this saying, and it stays with me rent-free in my head. Power is running for office. Absolute power is running someone for office.
Right, deciding who's going to be in office.
So that is, and by the way, you could easily spin that into, oh, you mean the deep state. Yeah, nowadays it has that connotation, but back in the day, there was always a guy that says, all right, so I'm going to sit on this board, and this board, and then this guy, he's got electability. We got to put our, pretty much like, let's put a little cute face out there that's going to, get the people to vote for him. So
who's a personable guy that's a good-looking guy that is well-spoken, and we'll put him up.
Oh, these Kennedys are charmers. It doesn't come from nowhere.
That's it.
So PJ will actually be a behind-the-scenes boss, which is where he's more comfortable, but he is also actively serves in the Massachusetts House of Representatives and the Massachusetts Senate. So the Kennedy legacy in politics really begins with PJ. PJ will also have many children. PJ had been the youngest of his siblings, but it is actually his oldest that's going to become the most noteworthy for the telling of this story.
Yeah, and I think before we jump into the offspring of PJ marries his wife is also part of the Irish community, if you will.
Now, is this Fitzgerald?
Yeah, well, no, we're going to get into Papa Joe, and then Papa Joe's soon-to-be wife. It also comes from a political background, but yeah, go ahead.
They always seem to marry each other.
Yeah. Well, it's a close-knit community, too, that at that particular point in time, the zeitgeist.
You caught Dom so off guard. That was mean what you did, Larry Burke.
Sorry, Dom. I'll give you a nod and a wink next time.
Could I ask for a picture of Joseph Patrick Kennedy or Joe Kennedy when you get a chance, Paco, please, for the audio listener, the visual learners?
There you go.
So go ahead.
Yeah, but no, his wife is PJ's wife is part of the Irish community, if you will, and like-minded and understands that within there's strength in numbers, and our community has got certainly a whole lot of numbers. There's a few Irish people or Irish heritage from the Boston area for sure. Strength
in numbers, indeed.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into it there. Oh, right on cue, Paco. You are the man. I was a big fan of the show Boardwalk Empire. The guy that they had, the actor to play him, was so convincing I thought I was watching history. That's how good Boardwalk was. Peak Boardwalk Empire was the best. But that's him. That's the guy. That is the guy who is going to be...
That's PJ's offspring.
This is PJ's. So this is Joseph Patrick Kennedy, more commonly known as Joe. So we have the photo of him, so I wanted to acknowledge it. Did you have anything else before we get into old Papa Joe?
No, I was going to say that, Papa Joe, his dad, PJ, his mom is also, from the Irish community of Boston and is well attuned to the politics in the locale. So
organizers, we like to call them, right? Organizers.
There you go.
Well, Joseph Patrick Kennedy, PJ's son, that's his oldest son. He is more commonly known as Joe. Joe's a pisser. He's got all the Kennedy charm, and he is now the grandson of an immigrant and the son of a very well-connected man in Boston politics. Joe Kennedy doesn't let this stop him from dreaming a little bigger. A Harvard education will do that. Again, long lineage and tradition of Harvard being the higher education of the Kennedy family.
Mm-hmm.
So
Harvard.
Harvard. Of course, that's the hack one they always go to. But there's still a little bit of a ceiling on what Irish Catholics are allowed to do in America. Now, Dad, I am Irish, but my mother, who adopted me, because I'm adopted, that's why I'm not as handsome as my dad, I grew up in the Armenian church in this weird dances with wolves kind of thing that I have going on.
Yeah.
But you're Irish Catholic. I've spent some time in Catholic churches, right?
Right.
But the Irish Catholic community, very strong knit here thing, but you guys were also back in this time frame. The original conspiracies were about you guys. Well, you can't trust the Catholics because they listen to the wizard with the pointy hat back in the Vatican.
To Rome, right. That you're not going to go against Rome. And that was, very common belief, if you will, that, the Irish Catholic was, we're going back to a lot of the oppression that they had in the old country is now being served up here in America, that, there was many want ads, if you will, job placement ads looking for, help wanted. Irish need not apply. That, we're not hiring Irish because, we can't be having that. First off, because you're Irish, and secondly, you're more than likely 90% certain that you're going to be Catholic too. That, the whole Protestant Catholic thing was a deep division. And even to marry outside of the Catholic faith was definitely frowned upon. And we'll get into that a little bit with some of the Kennedy kids.
Oh, it comes in there. I was trying to picture if you had the sign that said Irish Catholic need not apply. If Lewis was to put out what we hire here at Gas Digital, it would say hot chicks and autistic dudes. That's what we're looking for. If you're not one of those two things, carry on.
Right.
So
keep walking.
That's it. And that's me. I got my stuff figured out here. Joe Kennedy takes this. He's going to be the guy that creates the Kennedy family, the aura of wealth and power.
The legacy.
Yeah, that on a nationwide level. So his timing in business, luck of the Irish here, never builds something from scratch, but he's like an episode of Shark Tank gone wrong where he can sell it at its peak and then he can buy it at its bottom. Right. And he's just able to always play it. He's great with the stock market.
His timing was very impeccable. He always knew when to sell, when to buy. And, he wasn't coming from a poor hardscrabble kind of a thing. I mean, his dad, PJ, although he was from, hardscrabble beginnings, did all right for himself by the end of his time. So, Joe Kennedy was able to carry on some of the wealth, if you will, that his father accumulated, but was, again, very timely in his decision makes and his business dealings.
Yeah, he goes, hey, my dad was able to make the playoffs. I'd like to win a Super Bowl. And then he goes, now I'd like to win a couple Super Bowls.
There you go.
So he's going to do a couple of things here. We talked about it a little bit on the episode last week with Lynn, so I'm going to jump over a little bit of it here. But the Kennedys are Irish Catholic, but money talks. And Joe is becoming one of the richest men in the entire world thanks to his education from his father in the world of politics. He's also going to get involved with owning film studios. So yes, the love affair between the Kennedys and Hollywood goes all the way back before you could even speak in motion pictures.
Right.
It's true.
It went from the silent movie era to the talkies.
And this carries on each iteration or generation of the Kennedy family. There's always one of them that's banging a hot chick from Hollywood.
Yeah. Well, the Kennedy men did have that dalliance, if you will, too, that...
It's, again, like we were saying, any opinion you have, they're just a bunch of philandering playboys who just bang everything that moves. You're right. Sometimes they solve missile crises involving Cuba, too.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes they're rich playboys. Sometimes they're war heroes. They are, whatever your opinion is, it's right.
Correct.
So, now he's also, Papa Joe he's a good Catholic, man. For some reason, the way I got the vibe is the Kennedy men will very carefully pick their wife, who they want to have children with, who's going to be a good mother to their children, who's going to come from a good house that they can have a respectable name. And then they go out and bang all the Sabrina Carpenters of the world or whatever.
Yeah, good-looking side piece or famous side piece.
Well, this is a crazy thing where even his father was doing this. It's a vice that the Kennedy men seem to inherit, whether that be JFK banging Marilyn Monroe, JFK Jr. banging Madonna, or the part of the story where Arnold Schwarzenegger bangs his way into the family. All the Kennedys are one certain thing, and that is interesting, but also very powerful. So
yeah, and his pick of wives is pretty key too. That Joe Kennedy Sr. marries Rose Fitzgerald, and Rose Fitzgerald's dad just happened to be a guy by the name of his nickname was Honey Fitz.
Honey
Fitzgerald, right? he was the mayor of Boston, so there was some political contacts to be made.
Oh, they're always going to link up with each other, man.
Yeah, and Rose Kennedy, Joe Senior's wife, she grew up within a political sphere, so she knew how things ran and backroom decisions that were made that would come to light, years later, kind of a thing. But she knew how to work the system, if you will. So.
She was a badass in her own right, for sure.
And actually was able to produce 9 children with
That's what I was going to say. Imagine having a productive life while also crapping out 9 kids.
Right.
Yeah,
they're Irish. I mean, what are they doing? Popping out puppies, that's all.
I mean, really, if you could get all 9 at once, maybe that would be a deal you could have. But it's John and Kate plus 8, but it's, a political dynasty instead. Joe Kennedy will have 9 children, all with his wife. There's a possibility that it's not outside of the realm of possibility that there was other bastard children. You know what I mean? That's a thing there. He's going to have Joe Jr., John, a.k.a. JFK, Rosemary, Mike Harrington, Eunice, Robert, a.k.a. RFK, Patricia, Jean, Edward, or Ted Kennedy, who's the youngest, and then, of course, last week's topic, Kit Kennedy, who is very much part of the curse that we're getting into here now. So this curse does not work like in a movie or anything, but the misfortune and the fortune that goes with the Kennedy family name is kind of compelling and very eerie. We're going to start with the 9 kids of Joseph P. Kennedy and Rose Fitzgerald. So covered it a little bit last week because Lynn did the one great thing that all the good guests do when they come in blind on something. They ask the question that I'm like, I got 40 more minutes of writing before I can reveal this. But she kahuna'd us, and she just asked me right away, whatever happened to him?
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Well, now I can give a little bit of a deeper dive here. The oldest one, who is to be groomed by his father to be the first Irish Catholic president of the United States.
Joseph, that was Joe Senior's big dream, that one of his boys was going to become president of the United States.
It does happen.
And to be president of the United States, but not only that, be the first Irish Catholic president of the United States. We've had other Irish presidents, but never a Catholic president.
Yeah, a bunch of it's weird. That's the Scotch-Irish thing versus when you say Irish Catholic, and then these are the Gaelic Catholics, if you will, the Gaelic Irish rather. And then I even learned the difference of that because being adopted, you guys, the Burkes, are Norman Irish,
right?
And I won't say what my biological last name would have been, but I'm apparently Scotch-Irish.
Right.
So we wouldn't have liked each other back in Ireland.
No.
Yeah, it would have been a little different.
You're
of
on
a
the other
vibe
side
there.
of the fence.
Yeah, you dark fucking haired bastards coming over here ruining everything with your fairy nonsense. But
well, dark hair, I'll take it, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So the oldest one, who, like I said, is being groomed first, this is Joseph P. Kennedy Jr. And I did say it last week, the Corleone family is based off the Kennedy family. The Corleone compound, a son that's supposed to be the heir who dies and can't pull it off. So you got a Godfather vibe in here already. And it's really not that much of a stretch from the truth either, by the way. Joseph P. Kennedy Jr., Harvard fella, serves as a delegate to the Democratic National Convention in 1940, seems to be well on his way to fulfilling his destiny after his military service with the U.S. Navy. He will fly 25 combat missions and serve with honor. You do one combat mission, you're a hero.
Right.
You do 25 during World War II, that's a career.
Yeah, and what I read about him, too, that at that particular point in time, after so many missions, you were allowed to cycle home, take leave, if you will. He decided that he was going to go on a second tour of duty and convince the rest of his crew members to go on stay with him for an additional crew. That he could have cycled out twice. And at the end of the second tour of duty, if you will, he wasn't going to ask his crew members to continue on, but he volunteers for this top secret situation that, well, I'll let you explain it, but, he could have gone home and rested on his laurels after flying 25 missions.
This is a rich kid who just proved he's a badass, and then he's like, hey, you want your free ticket home so you can go become the leader of the free world? And now I got one more thing I got to do.
And probably with Papa Joe's influence, he could have been stateside and serving, in safety, if you will, for the war effort. But he volunteered for the combat right early on, and then did a second tour, and then volunteered again for really a third tour with this secret operation that they were trying to pull off.
Operation Anvil and Operation Aphrodite is what it's called. The operation, which this blew my mind, Paco. I was very impressed with this. I'm a Navy veteran, and I remember when we were doing UAV training, which was unmanned vehicle air, so essentially drones. We were learning how to use drones for combat stuff. And I thought, I'm like, oh, cool, that's brand new technology. No, there was an attempt at doing this during the Second World War. This is 1944 when this operation is going to go down. So, robots was, they weren't calling them drones, they were calling them robots. It was a top secret, and essentially what they would do is that the bombers would fly at a certain altitude and then drop this unmanned airplane, if you will, that could then crash into the German defenses in France.
It was a bomber plane that was loaded with explosives. They would have a pilot in that plane and then fly that, and then other planes flying at a higher altitude would take control of that plane via radio control. I mean, we're not to the point where we're using our cell phones to control a drone, but radio frequencies that are now controlling this thing. The idea was that Joe Jr. was to fly this thing into France and then bail out while the other planes would have radio control of it, so that it would crash dive this plane into...
It's our way of trying to make a more humanized version of a kamikaze.
Yeah. And it was a kamikaze plane going into V-2 rocket launch sites that the Nazis had in France. The only problem was when he was switching off and switching on, there was some type of a malfunction that the whole plane loaded with explosives blew up with him on it before he was able to bail out.
So the pride, not the pride, because Joe was proud of all of his kids here, but the guy that he was grooming to be the president is now dead at age 29 on a top secret combat mission. He did not have to fly. Here's the thing: the Kennedys are rich kids, but they got this fight in them. They got a cult of personality in them. You wind up loving them, and then you also wind up just sitting there being like, I don't know if I want to hang out too much here. There's a lot of baggage that goes with this whole Kennedy thing. Now, he had a longtime girlfriend who was also suspected to be a victim of the curse. We're going to say that Joe Kennedy, Joe Jr. Kennedy is going to be the first kind of real impetus of the curse here. But he had a longtime girlfriend that is also suspected to be a victim of this curse. Her name was Atalia Poncel Lindsley. She was a wealthy girl from Ohio, although she grew up on an island off of Cuba. She was a model, a political activist, and a TV personality. In short, folks, she was hot. And she came from a lot of money out in Ohio here. She had dated Joe Jr. and was even rumored to have possibly been engaged to him before his untimely death. As hot girls do that come from money, she's able to marry and become a very influential person in St. Augustine, Florida, which I was not aware of here, until her unresolved murder in 1974 outside her house. She was hacked with a machete over 9 times and found nearly decapitated. Despite many allegations that the attacker was her neighbor, this crime remains unsolved. Blew my mind on that one. You're like, oh, the Kennedy curse. Yeah, obviously the political assassinations and the tragedies and the planes going. Like, oh, did you ever hear about the girlfriend who got her machete attack on her front deck?
Yeah, never heard about that one.
The possible motive in that was that her dogs barked too loudly.
And pissed off the neighbor.
Wish I was kidding, folks. Yeah. Wish I was kidding. Now, as we covered last week, just a few months after Joe Jr. dies in the plane crash, his sister Kick, or Kathleen, they called her Kick, she had married William Cavendish, the future Duke of Devonshire, and he is killed in combat by a sniper during World War II, seeing combat in Belgium.
Yeah, World War II was not kind to the Kennedys because Joe Jr. dies a naval hero, if you will. He's awarded the Navy Cross, I believe, from that. But shortly...
Posthumously.
JFK, he's captain of a both oldest boys, Joe Kennedy Jr. and JFK, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, were both Navy men. John Kennedy is now in charge of a PT boat, and his PT boat gets cut in half by
PT 109.
PT 109, and that gets cut in half by a Japanese destroyer. And he's nearly killed, and he has severe back injuries for the rest of his life because of that. And while he's recuperating from those injuries, he gets word that his brother is killed. And then shortly after that, he finds out that his brother-in-law, the Duke of Devonshire, this William Cavendish, is killed in a combat kind of a thing. And
so her older brother's dead. Her husband gets killed by a sniper, and her second oldest brother is recovering from terrible wounds in also a heroic act too that helped launch him.
So
into...
say what you will about the rich Kennedy family and the privilege that they might have had. They also stepped up and served.
They weren't doing they weren't doing bone spurs, and they weren't burning their draft card and smoking a joint on their way up to Canada.
Right.
All right, that's that way. See, that's what I do on the show. If I get political, it's right down the middle because I hate you both. So now this one's crazy here too. JFK is going to marry Jackie Kennedy, whose maiden name is Bouvier. The Simpsons actually referenced this with Marge. Marge Bouvier that's based off Jackie Bouvier. So pretty cool on that one. Paco, just for your own self, can you just Google a picture of Jackie O? Because in a pre-Melania world, and I think we can say it, Melania is a very attractive woman, probably the most attractive woman to ever be in the White House. But prior to her, Jackie O, Dad, you're a young boy.
She was the hot ticket for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, she was the complete trendsetter. Everybody wanted to have their hair styled like Jackie. They wanted to dress like her. I mean, she was definitely, as I say, a trend center.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the famous pink outfit that supposedly that's hidden away. I think that's him getting off the plane in Dallas.
That's terrible. It's probably one of the last known photos of him, too. But, Jackie O was a smoke show. They didn't call her Jackie O till she married again later in life, which we cover in a second.
Yeah.
But their marriage is going to bring them 4 children. So here's another part of the curse on this one. Jackie O was a smoke show. There was no doubt about it. It's you're probably sitting there thinking about, whatever young hot starlets of the time are there, and you're like, I don't know, man. The same way a lot of guys have their feelings about some of the modern female politicians, where like you have little fantasies about that or whatever. There's a lot of guys that are sitting like, I don't know, I could either go Marilyn Monroe or Jackie O would be a pretty good one too. And by the way, one of those guys, John F. Kennedy. That's it.
Yeah, and the whole family, John Kennedy administration of Willie, or his time in the White House. I mean, that was the term came to be Camelot. That that was the magical, mystical time period that you got this beautiful wife, you got these great kids. That now the White House has children again running around in the White House, and the cute little adorable kids, John Jr. and Caroline Kennedy. That aren't they cute kids? And it was just the adorable kind of a thing. And then once JFK gets assassinated in Dallas, I mean, that just sealed the deal. He was near sainthood after that. I mean, he was not, the favorite of everybody during his brief time in the White House. There was, political opponents that didn't kind of like what he did with the Bay of Pigs, and then, of course, the Cuban Missile Crisis kind of changed a lot of people's minds too. With it, he stood up to the Soviets, but
well, Castro thought he was just the intel that Castro had on Kennedy was he goes, oh, this guy just wants to bang everything that moves. He's just like a rich playboy. Not quite.
Yeah,
not quite. There was some. He got the fight in him because their father instilled this competitive thing in all of them, and that's why they were able to rise and do great things. Now, you mentioned 2 children of JFK and Jackie O, and unfortunately, another part of the tragedy here in the curse is Arabella, who would have been their first child, she dies at birth in 1956. Next will come Caroline, who was born in 1957. right?
Right.
Followed by JFK Jr., who was born in 1960. There will be a fourth child, Patrick Kennedy, who was born in August of 1963. He dies 2 days after he was born prematurely.
Right.
Obviously, the most infamous death in this curse is certainly when JFK is assassinated in 1963 in Dallas, Texas. The shroud of mystery that surrounds that makes that number one, pun intended with a bullet, that you can't really figure out what's what. They've put out so much disinformation that everybody's convinced.
Right. You can't separate fact from fiction. And
yeah, we're so close. If they put out 2 or 3 more issues of the redacted files or anything like that, we're going to be able to pin this on P. Diddy.
That's right.
Now, a few years later, the country is looking towards Bobby Kennedy. So JFK does fulfill his father's dream of becoming the first Irish Catholic president. We talked about this on the phone, and I think it's worth mentioning. If people didn't understand, I grew up, my dad's Catholic. I spent a lot of time in Catholic church. I didn't fully understand that the Catholics were so mistrusted, if you will, in early America here. Seminal moment in JFK's presidency. First Irish Catholic president in American history, and he's going to meet the Pope. And this is crazy. I couldn't even believe that this blew my mind because it's so simple in hindsight, but it was a big deal at the time. The fear was always that the Catholics will not be ruled by a president. So Catholics, think of them as like the Sunni and Shiite type stuff for like, oh, well, are they sleeper cells? Are the Catholics a sleeper cell in here?
There you go.
They're waiting for the Pope to tell them to overthrow the government.
There you go.
The wizard in the pointy hat over in the Vatican gives them their real orders in their secret meetings. So look up Jesuit conspiracy if you guys want to go down a weird wormhole there. But the point is that JFK has to have this meeting with the Pope. He's excited to have this meeting with the Pope. And everybody who's against the Catholics in the country goes, I swear, this JFK, if he kisses the Pope's ring, we'll know we were right all along.
There you go.
We got to get the Catholics out of here. This is why we were this way. It's going to vindicate everything. JFK, ever the politician, meets His Eminence, the Pope, shakes his hand instead. Just gives him the handshake and he goes, hey, we're doing the America First thing right now. My job's important. Yeah. And by the way, if he had kissed the ring and accepted that his power was beneath the Pope's, that goes all the way back to the Holy Roman Empire. And you're talking about Charlemagne, not Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club. Charlemagne, who, yeah, we're Paco threw up deuces for that one.
Made somebody wake up in there. Yeah, Game of Thrones shit, right? That,
exactly.
Bend the knee.
Yeah, bend the knee, and I'll make you king, and then you understand that I am the maker of kings, right. Therefore more powerful.
Again, who's got more power, the president or the guy who made him president, kind of a thing.
Around this time frame, too, you were telling me this, in Ireland, every house would have a picture of the Pope up in their house, but who else is also making the wall?
John F. Kennedy is right alongside the Pope, right up there.
This is Ireland celebrating America's president, because it was...
Part of that has to do, too, that... John F. Kennedy was the first American president to visit Ireland too. So I mean,
I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah. When he went over to Ireland, that was a big time deal. When we were over there, we saw the farmhouse that he came to kind of visit his birthplace, or whatever. Not his birthplace.
It's a shithole.
Yeah,
it's great to be here. Yeah. So great to be here with all y'all.
The Secret Service had a hell of a time because it's just this little friggin' backcountry dirt road kind of thing leading up to that. Like, how the hell are we going to secure this place,
I don't want to go on a sidestep here, but it's too cool not to say this. I think we would agree. Paco, back me up on this one. Dom's going to upset me and say he doesn't know who he is. We would agree Johnny Cash, one of the coolest guys in the history of music, right? Is that fair to say? I feel like that's a fair thing to say.
I know who Johnny Cash is.
I'm making sure. Okay, thank you, Dom. I'm sorry if I insulted you.
We know who John Cash is.
Johnny Cash is the man. And Johnny Cash visits Ireland and writes a couple songs about Ireland and the landscape and everything. It has this profound effect on him. And then apparently Kennedy visits after Johnny Cash has put out this music about Ireland. And word got back to Johnny Cash that when JFK was sitting, he goes, it's just like Johnny Cash described. How cool is that shit that the president of the United States goes, Johnny Cash, that guy from Tennessee. Yeah, pretty good job here, dude. You nailed it, bud. That would be, I don't even want to say what the modern version of that would be because Twitter has just created a hell of a cesspool. But yeah, a few years later, after JFK has been assassinated here, it's a terrible day in America on this one.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Joe Sr. is still alive, so
Correct.
he's now seen, his firstborn son, Joe Kennedy, killed in the Second World War. Now he's seen his second son rise to his dream, becoming president,
Yes.
and is now assassinated. So,
And we're casually skipping over Kick here,
Right.
who was a little bit of a rebellious girl, but nonetheless, that's your daughter. That's
Right.
Daddy's little girl.
and seen his son-in-law Cavendish killed in the Second World War. So, the mortality rate for the Kennedy clan is not doing too well. But
No, it's brutal.
dreams are being made and met, but at the same time, great tragedy has befallen them as well.
Right. Joe, for those keeping score at home, Joe Jr. dies in a plane explosion during what would be a combat mission in World War II. Then you have Kick Kennedy, who dies in a plane crash with what would have been her next husband, I assume, right? Then you have, obviously, JFK is going to be assassinated. It's unfortunate. The other, the deaths, not that we minimize them, but the big picture of this curse that's going on here, this is leading you up to Bobby Kennedy, because those who are hopeful are saying, well, at least we still have Bobby. That's what they're saying. This idea of what they're putting out, this Kennedy type of democracy or a liberal progressivism form of view, it is firmly on the shoulders of Bobby Kennedy. So RFK is in here. He is served, by the way, as the U.S. Attorney General and a senator. Almost became Lyndon Baines Johnson's vice president, by the way. I thought this was interesting.
Yeah.
Lyndon Baines Johnson and him did not like each other at all. So when you talk about modern politics and the guy picking the running mate, they don't always get along. In fact, it seems more often than not they just don't like each other. But you have to go back to Civil War era. You have a northern president. Well, he needs to have a southern VP. Otherwise, you won't win the South. And if it's a southern president, you have to have a staunch guy from Maine coming in there that's going to kind of solidify the country. So this is the thing they're doing. LBJ is a Democrat from Texas, right? He's got his different ways of going about things. And then you have upstart Kennedy here coming from the bluest state in the Union, Massachusetts, with his new age progressivism that he's kind of coming in and swinging the song for. So Bobby Kennedy is almost LBJ's vice president, but they did not like each other at all. He does not get the VP spot because it just would have been too much for him. LBJ kind of refused. And then he winds up running for president himself, and he had just won the California primary when he too was gunned down and assassinated by Sirhan Sirhan, who, rest assured, has an episode of this show in his near future. I promise you guys, I've been wanting to get to that one. Kennedy family, Dad, can we agree it's hard to keep up with these guys?
Unbelievable. It's I'm making notes here, and I'm still struggling.
The old shop teacher shuffling some papers. Long-time listeners know.
I'm sorry about that. That whole computer thing, that's just a fad. That's going to die away.
I believe you're right, too. Now,
we're going to have to write in script on paper for a long time to come.
That's right. It's well, you can't use your calculator for your math test because you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
See, there you go. You might have one on your phone, but
the modern version now is like when my buddy John at work, when his family catches him with his pocket pussy. Well, you can't just have a pocket pussy. You got to get out there and meet real girls. He goes, "Oh yeah," and then he just holds up.
Shout out to John.
I love you, Johnny. So. He won't get this far into the episode. He plays it for about 10 minutes in the background, leaves a comment that says, "Love the show, guys," and moves on. Kennedy family's hard to keep up with. RFK and JFK are household names, which is impressive. If you're going to be two of 9 children, you are the two marquee names right there. But for those, unfortunately, trying to keep score at home, we do want to just remind you 4 of the 9 children of Joe Kennedy Sr. have now met untimely deaths. This will leave behind Gene Kennedy, Ted Kennedy, Eunice Kennedy, Patricia Kennedy, and Rosemary Kennedy. Rosemary is the saddest story we could possibly tell on this show. I like to do jokes. I like to keep it light. Rosemary does not pass away until 2005, but her life is one of the most tragic ones in family history. She had been deprived of oxygen at birth, and she suffered from mood swings, seizures, and a little bit of a rebellious streak, which doesn't kind of go with Joe Kennedy's "my sophisticated ladies." Of course, we're Catholic,
Right.
but that doesn't mean we can't be sophisticated ladies from wealthy families. I want you to get out there and marry into that Rothschild family I keep hearing about. Come on, get me invited to one of those costume parties they throw.
Yeah.
So, at age 23, this issue was so bad that Rosemary was unable to read or write. So her father, take it away, Dad.
Yeah, she's the oldest daughter of Joe Sr. and Rose Kennedy. And sadly, she is deprived of oxygen at birth. And again, follow the science. The doctor that was to deliver her was caught up, was delayed in getting there to the delivery of her birth, of Rosemary's birth, due to the Spanish influenza that was going on. Again, sometime part of the timeline of
Oh, you almost said it again. Dom's looking at the button. Are you about to say it?
You ready, Dom? Wink, wink. Here we go. Zeitgeist of the time. The Spanish,
Dom's this
the
shit.
Spanish flu or the influenza was going on. So the doctor that was to deliver her was held up for like 2 hours. And the nurse told Rose Kennedy, well, just keep your legs closed while the baby is in the birth canal. And she's deprived of
You're going to
oxygen.
tell a woman who is going to have 9 children to keep her legs closed? You think that's going to work?
Right.
This sounds like when...
But this was actually her third child. This was her third kid, because she had Joe Jr., then John Kennedy, and now Rosemary was the first daughter. And she's got some developmental issues, kind of things that Kennedy family could tell that, you know, she's not coming along as quickly as her 2 older brothers did. And again, at that time, if you had somebody that was not quite right, you would hide that from society. That was those.
we didn't know how to deal with it.
We didn't know how to deal with that. That was a family secret, if you will.
Yeah, they couldn't just go into stand-up and try to make up for it in other ways yet, you
That's
know?
right. We'll find your avenue somewhere.
Yeah.
But she is, they get all kinds of private tutoring and different private schools and kind of thing that helps her out while she's, the whole family goes over to England prior to the Second World War because Joe Kennedy Sr. is now the ambassador to Great Britain.
A direct appointment from FDR.
He's a political guy himself. He's not just a rich guy. He's also into a rich guy that's in politics. And she's making great strides in, furthering her development, if you will. But then with the start of the Second World War, the whole Kennedy family comes back to the United States, and she goes on to a downslide. Now, she is now like 23 years old, and Joe Sr. decides that there's this new medical procedure called lobotomy that is supposedly going to be able to fix these kinds of things. That it's risky, but
Hey, Joe, have you thought about taking an ice pick and shoving it into your daughter's head?
Yeah,
Because apparently it's working wonders.
yeah. Well, that's pretty much what it was too. The early on lobotomy, there was basically you're taking an ice pick shaped tool and putting it up into the backside, the upside of your eye socket, and poking around inside your brain there and wiggling it around. Meanwhile, she's awake. She's conscious while this thing. She's under some sedation, but she's told to like recite poems and kind of stuff so that we can tell that, how much wiggling, how much time should we pith this poor girl.
Dom, you're a pretty cool customer. You really are. How do you think during a lobotomy you'd be able to, carry on a conversation? Or are you thinking that that's just a little too much?
I don't know. With stuff, lobotomy's like up the eyelid, right?
Yeah, essentially
Oh, no,
ice pick
I
beyond
can't.
the
Yeah.
orbital.
Take a knitting needle or an ice pick and put it in the top side of your eye orbit, and then give it a shot with a mallet to drive it through the soft tissue that's behind the eye socket, and then you're up into the brain. into the frontal lobotomy, the frontal lobe of the brain. And
Do you think you're going to be able to carry on a conversation during that procedure, Dom?
Absolutely not.
No.
I don't think so either. Anyhow, lo and behold, the operation was not a success, but she suffers severe downturn, if you will, and she's institutionalized. Meanwhile, I mean, Joe had all of this arranged to have this done. Rose Kennedy, his wife, had no idea that he was going to have this take place.
In secret, I have the cure for my daughter, and it's an ice pick to the head.
Right.
And makes it worse, by the way. There was the occasional, if a child was wild and you could hit them with the lobotomy and they'd be more sedated.
Yeah.
That was the bunk science they were running with that was calming, that was making this thing like, oh, your rambunctious child just needs to be calmed down with a lobotomy, not, hey, we might have done permanent damage to your
We
kid.
see hints of that in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest because, they were, that was, the lobotomy was a psychological procedure, if you will, procedure to magic cure, but this was performed not in a surgical operating room. This was like in a doctor's office kind of a thing. You didn't need a surgeon for this. Any psychiatrist could have done this in his own office. So, follow the science. Well, maybe not all the time,
Even scientists don't say that.
Yeah.
Scientists say let's read studies and come to a conclusion.
Right.
So, but yes, this lobotomy proves to be far worse. Rosemary is physically and mentally incapacitated, and then sadly, even more tragically, just because of the times, they keep her away from the family and the spotlight that goes with it. They kind of seclude her into Wisconsin, where she is essentially institutionalized. She passes away in 2005, but not before becoming close with her sister, Eunice. Eunice is a little bit of a saint. I'm sure there's people that didn't like her, but we're going to get into her in a second.
Yeah, and she her brothers and sisters didn't come to the realization as to what was going on with her until years later. So, I mean, this was kept a deep, dark secret even within the family for years before they came to the realization, hey, whatever happened to Rosemary,
I wonder if they treated it like when my buddy Joey, his dad had their dog put down, and he gave him the classic line, we took him to a farm to go live.
Yeah, right.
He's going to live on a farm and be happy up there. Oh, Dad, where's Rosemary? She's on a farm in Wisconsin.
Special school.
Living happy. She's doing great, by the way. She said she misses you.
Yeah.
So, this brings us into the next Kennedy here, Jean Kennedy. Jean is actually going to be, of the 9 siblings, she is the last one to pass away. She is the sole survivor, if you will. Dies at age 92, having kept a lower profile than her siblings, but still managed to play a role politically in the Clinton administration. I shit you not. Remember I keep telling you guys they can't quite get away from Ireland? I didn't know JFK was the first guy to make a trip over there. But now his sister Jean, in the 90s, becomes the ambassador to Ireland over there. So this Kennedy and the Irish thing, they love each other. It's the idea of a homeland or whatever. They get the Irish Republican Army to come to the table because it was controversial at the time, but Jean Kennedy says, this guy Jerry Adams will talk, but you got to get him over to the United States. And they're essentially saying, you're going to tell us that we have to let a war criminal, by British standards, into the United States to then have these talks and be kind of legitimized.
Right.
But those talks were so fruitful that the IRA came to the table and effectively, I shouldn't say too much.
The peace accord.
Yeah, things got a little calmer over there, because you told me Ireland in the 70s, if you rented a car, you weren't allowed to take it to Northern Ireland because there was such a hotbed of activity.
Right. They were blowing up each other. That was pretty much Northern Ireland, but going back and forth across the border, it was troubles. The Troubles, the Irish.
They call
Troubles.
it that for a reason. By the way, History Hyenas did a great episode on the Troubles. Chris Stefano, who I love dearly, and Giannis did a great job on that one. So if you guys want to check that out, please do. Now, our girl over here who does pull this off, Jean Kennedy, her son is William Kennedy Smith, and he will wind up getting his name in the papers a little bit due to a very high-profile. Dom, is it S.A.? Is that the way that we say it now, so we don't say the R word that gets us in trouble?
Yeah, that works on YouTube, and like grape. The fruit grape.
Yeah, so he gets some very egregious charges, okay? And he winds up getting acquitted of all these charges in a very high-profile trial in 1991. So not exactly a public assassination or a plane crash, but definitely another mark on the family legacy here. Said we were going to get to Eunice. Eunice Kennedy will marry, and this one is the one that Dom's going to love. Eunice will marry Sargent Shriver. Sargent Shriver was a major player in the Kennedy administration and a driving force in the creation of the Peace Corps, and also a Purple Heart recipient in the Battle of Guadalcanal. So he's seen the best days, he's seen the worst days, and he was a very highly respected guy here, especially in the Kennedy administration. Now, Eunice has such a heart for people who are intellectually disabled. I think that was the term they used at the time. That she's actually going to be the person who starts the Special Olympics.
Yeah, actually, the Special Olympics got their start that she would have like a summer camp situation in their own backyard, that they brought, disabled folks into her own backyard, and that just kind of grew and grew to become eventually become the Special Olympics. So, hats off to that. And Sergeant Shriver was very much influential, again, from his work within the Kennedy administration to the formation of the Peace Corps. JFK made political statements in his campaign promises, if you will, about getting the youth involved with volunteerism and kind of thing. And Shriver was the one that was really the driving factor behind it, to organize that and with the creation of the Peace Corps. And
Isn't it crazy, by the way?
And that grew into not just foreign stuff. That there was also a youth volunteer corps on the home shores, kind of a thing, to help out some of the financially disadvantaged in our own country. So yeah, it's
that heyday of JFK with the one of the great speeches of all time. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Right. That today would be labeled as fascist.
Right.
So it's a far cry from those days.
Right.
Eunice, by the way, will have 5 children with Sergeant Shriver. Here you go, Dom. I was excited all day to tell you this one, buddy. Maria Shriver is one of the children of Eunice and Sergeant Shriver. She will marry Arnold Schwarzenegger. So yes, the Terminator is a member of the Kennedy family. That's right. Also, shocking notice here, too, is that Eunice will support her then son-in-law. Maria and Arnold got divorced over the whole banging the maid thing. But they do get an endorsement from Eunice Kennedy. She supports her son-in-law, who is a Republican running for California. He becomes the governor, the governator himself.
The governor.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, whose dad was loading trucks in, Austria or whatever, gets over here, escapes to the United States, doesn't speak the language, becomes the biggest action movie star of all time possibly, then becomes the governor of California, and then also happened to bang his way into a political, Bill Burr does a great bit
Dynasty,
about it. Yeah, it's that guy is the guy. You don't think he can get away with other stuff? You think he could say, I could probably bang the maid. I feel like I could. They told me I couldn't be a Kennedy, but here we are. So, Eunice, by the way, will pass away in 2009. Patricia Kennedy, pretty interesting one over here, does not get directly involved in politics, but plays a big, big role in her life anyway. Being a Kennedy will do that to you. Patricia Kennedy got into the world of movies and theater and was even married to Peter Lawford, who was a member of the Rat Pack. That's the guys that hung with Sinatra and all those other dudes.
Yeah, the Las Vegas crowd.
Oh, yeah, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and there's a bunch of it. And by the way, Peter Lawford, when I mentioned him to other people, when I was talking about the prep for this episode, I think even you said, oh, shit, yeah, that's him, man. But when you're a member of the Rat Pack, it's going to be tough to keep a marriage on the up and up because these guys like to do a little hard partying. They like to drink. They like to womanize. There's a glamorous lifestyle to all of it. But they are throwing big, lavish parties at their house where Patricia Kennedy and her husband, Peter Lawford, who is an English fella, by the way, even they're throwing these big parties, and it's the creme de la creme celebrities are showing up.
It's the A-listers.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe is showing up there. You think that it's possible that Patricia Kennedy goes, oh, Marilyn, I just wanted you to meet my brother, John F. Kennedy. Yeah. Oh, we already met once before, interestingly enough. So
happy birthday. Mr. President.
Oh, it was, man, what a, looking back on that, you're just like, could you just imagine being Jackie O at that moment?
Right.
You're like, come on, John, like, I'm pretty cool, but god damn.
Yeah, really. Just
So-
to put it in my face.
Exactly. Now, Peter and Patricia's marriage will have 4 children, the most high profile of them being Christopher Lawford, who dubs himself, I thought this was funny, he goes, well, I'm a second string Kennedy. So, but Kennedy...
He's a B-lister.
Yeah, Kennedy Charm has Dom. I'll throw this one to you. Who's the most attractive woman in movies today? You would say, just off the top of your head. There's no wrong answer.
Sydney Sweeney.
She's a good answer on that one. She's got the bombshell thing going on. Marilyn Monroe, obviously a bombshell at the time. JFK bangs her. A couple of years later, Liz Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor is men are fawning over her. They're falling down in front of her, begging her for just please give me your hand in marriage. I'll do anything. And these are big, powerful men here that are just falling at her feet. Christopher Lawford, again, the son here of Patricia Kennedy, he winds up banging Elizabeth Taylor for a while, but also has the Kennedy tragedy follow him too. He dies young at age 63 during a hot yoga session gone wrong. Plane crashes, assassinations, CIA conspiracy, hot yoga. It's all there. This curse doesn't care how it gets you.
It's going to get you.
Yeah, it's going to get
We'll
you.
find you.
Now, this brings us to Ted, okay? Real name was Edward, I believe, by the way, but went by Ted. Ted is the baby brother, youngest of the Kennedy kids. JFK was his godfather. I thought that was interesting. JFK's what, like maybe a couple of years older than him? And he goes, I'd really like to be godfather to this baby.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what.
Your brother is your godfather.
Yeah, how about you learn how to wipe your own ass, and then you can be godfather. But for whatever... I also found this one out, too. JFK wanted to name his brother Ted. He wanted to name him George Washington Kennedy. So the name thing is there.
Yeah.
Everyone's middle name is Fitzgerald, which was, I believe, their mother's...
Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy.
Yeah, so that was... They're keeping everything's an amalgamation of everything here, which is... Maria Shriver Kennedy Schwarzenegger was a real name at one point. You know what I mean? So, but Teddy's an interesting guy. He's going to follow in the footsteps of his family. Joe Kennedy was real big on these things. Do well in school, play sports, learn charm, learn politics, join the military, get an education, and then get yourself a job in politics. Teddy, of course, is going to have a few high-profile moments. He is known as the Lion of the Senate. He was just a force on Capitol Hill. But he also narrowly avoided death a few times.
Yeah, you're talking about his Capitol Hill situation. He was senator from Massachusetts 9 times. So he's the third, I think, number 3 in the length of service to
I want to
the
say
Senate.
Strom Thurmond was the only one that was there longer.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, he's going to follow into the family footsteps here. This one I didn't know about. I knew about the important one, which is Chappaquiddick, which we're getting to. Shortly after the death of his brother JFK, Ted is in a plane crash that kills the pilot and one of his aides. He is pulled from the wreckage with severe injuries, barely surviving. So now Ted almost dies in a plane crash, and this is when Bobby Kennedy quipped, "Somebody up there doesn't like us."
Yeah.
I'm starting to... Are we compiling enough data, Dom, that you're starting to think this family might just be cursed? It's just there. It's just there. So Teddy will also, just a few years after that, this is that car crash is, I believe, relatively shortly after the death of JFK. Now we go to 1968. Teddy drives his car off a bridge, the infamous Chappaquiddick incident. Ted survives, but shady incidents surrounded this due to Ted fleeing the scene and not reporting the accident until the next morning. Also, Teddy had a passenger. Mary Jo Kopechne, is that what we're going?
Kopechne, yeah.
Okay. Now, you were alive during this.
Yeah.
What was the coverage on that like?
Well, again, it's another Kennedy tragedy kind of a thing, but at the same time, the Kennedy history of extramarital activities was hinted about, of course, and to Teddy's defense, too, this was shortly after his brother was assassinated, so he's not feeling too chipper himself. And actually, they were at this party that a lot of the political backers or the workforce, if you will, for his brother was now at this party, and that's where Mary Jo Kopechne was part of that. That's why she was at that party. Later reports show that there was no romantic involvement or anything else. They just happened to be in the same car together. But
there's some other weird stuff too.
Yeah,
though.
there was some shady things going on, but no, it never really came to light exactly. Truth be told, again, who killed Lincoln?
Well, Ted apparently went and told the girl's parents that she died in a car accident. Leaves out the fact that he was the driver.
Yeah.
Doesn't report the incident. Here's the worst part. Had he reported the incident right away, there's a slim chance, albeit, that the girl could have been saved because there was a pocket of air trapped in there. They believe she died of asphyxiation in the water. She didn't drown outright. There was no more oxygen left for her. So she suffered a pretty cruel fate on this one. And I think the line was, they used to say, "Oh, Ted Kennedy, the strong swimmer. He's such a strong swimmer. That's why he survived.
Yeah, that's right.
Mary Jo didn't." So, and I promise, by the way, guys, we're done talking about the Kennedys after this week's episode. I will retire my shitty Cape Cod accent. So,
thank you.
But this incident right here, although he pretty much gets away with it, I think it's a suspended sentence he gets. That's going to end Ted's chances of becoming president. He will pass away. And by the way, he had a good, solid chance of being president. LBJ actually said, he goes, John was what he was. Bobby and I never got along. But Ted Kennedy's all right. I like Ted.
Yeah.
If you were to go out drinking with one of the brothers, Ted's probably the one. Ted's going to be the most fun.
Bend an elbow with.
So, but he'll pass away in 2009, stays on Capitol Hill for the duration of his career here. Never does get to the executive branch. Passes away in 2009 from a brain tumor. He died 2 weeks after Eunice. Okay? Eunice dies, and Teddy's on his deathbed. And poor Gene Kennedy, these kids were all close with each other. You can't deny that one. The tragedy had to bond them in some terrible way. Gene will miss Eunice's funeral because Teddy's so close to death, she stays by his side. In 2006, Teddy's son, Patrick J. Kennedy, will crash into a barricade on Capitol Hill under the influence of drugs and alcohol. He did not run for re-election to Congress in 2010 and is now, quote-unquote, retired from politics. You want to guess where he lives? South Jersey, and his wife's running for office.
Is that right?
Yep, the Kennedys have come to Jersey now, folks.
Okay,
it's on.
There we go.
Now, this concludes the curse of Joe and Rosemary's kids, but I can't tell this story without getting into this part here. RFK's family. Everybody knows RFK Jr., right?
Robert.
Yeah, so Bobby Kennedy, JFK's brother, he's the seventh of nine kids. He will outdo his own father and has 11 children. 11.
Freaking Irish Catholics, man. They just keep popping them out.
How do you even know what your wife looks like not pregnant anymore after that? All right?
Talk about Irish twins.
I got one on the way, and I'm stressing like crazy. This Kennedy shit is wild. By the way, that is one more child than Phillip Rivers, I believe, who is the NFL quarterback that has enough kids to field his own offense.
Right.
So, of course, the most famous of these in the modern, I'm sorry, Dom, one more time, in the modern zeitgeist, RFK Jr., all right? RFK Jr., a lot of tragedy in there, a lot of other stuff that's kind of a little bit weird. He seems like a cool dude. I've seen him on podcasts. I hear him talk. I don't agree with everything he says. He's sometimes kind of hard to listen to on account of the gravelly nature. He makes Tom Waits sound like a soprano. But you can understand why his life's a little crazy here and why his ideas on the world are a little bit flawed, because RFK Jr., he will lose two brothers. In 1984, his brother David will die of a drug overdose in Florida. That affects him deeply. In 1997, his brother Michael dies during a skiing accident. RFK Jr.'s sister Rory, who, by the way, get this, was born after her father was assassinated. This is RFK's daughter, who obviously, her mother is pregnant.
Ethel was pregnant at the time.
Yes, Ethel's pregnant at the time. And then your father gets gunned down, and then you have to welcome your progeny here. And they name her Rory. By the way, the reason for the name Rory, did you know this?
No.
The last high king that ruled over Ireland of Irish descent.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So they wanted a fighting name for this broad.
Rory.
Dom is a saint, and we love working with him here. And I get very excited when I can tell him stuff like this. Rory, by the way, who is obviously the youngest of the children over here,
Of RFK's
of RFK
kids.
and Ethel, correct. Rory is going to become a filmmaker, and she will marry Mark Bailey. Does the name Mark Bailey mean anything to you, Dom?
No, it's not ringing a bell.
Okay. The two of them have made a bunch of documentaries, a couple that I've enjoyed, Ghost of Abu Ghraib, a couple other things in there too. A lot of HBO documentaries they do, which is my favorite. I love those. Mark Bailey is also hired by Marvel Studios to be the initial writer of Black Panther. The Kennedys, buddy. The Kennedys almost wrote Black Panther for you.
I think we got a much better film than what he could have done.
He even says that, by the way. It's funny because a later quote when they replace him, he goes, well, considering it's like the third highest grossing movie of all time, I'm going to go ahead and say that them firing me wasn't the worst thing they did.
I didn't know that. I thought I knew a lot of Marvel stuff, but I did not know that.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on, too. To have a Kennedy writing the Black Panther thing, you're like, all right, guys, come on, let's...
I feel like that would have made much bigger headlines than it did. I've never heard of that.
It tripped me out, too, and I sat there and I was like, because I do think you guys exist to me, you guys mean a lot to me, so I sat there and I'm like, Dom's going to perk up when we tell him this one. Also, just picture Black Panther finally arriving, but it's written by, the Kennedy family members, if you will, so he just goes, go Pats, Pats for Wakanda. Yeah, we're gonna give. Actually, they'd probably just make him Patrice O'Neill at that point. That's the most famous black dude. It's really him and Kevin Garnett is probably the two, or David Ortiz. So, Kerry Kennedy here. Now, Dom is a New Yorker, folks, a true New Yorker, by the way. Not one of these jerk-offs that moved here and acts like they're from here now, even though they're from Indiana. Kerry Kennedy is one of RFK's kids. She's going to marry your former governor, buddy. The Kennedy family is joined up with Andrew Cuomo. The two of them got married. They are divorced as of 2005, and in 2012, yet another motor vehicle incident involving the Kennedys here. Kerry Kennedy smashed into, I believe, a tractor, sideswiped it. No one got hurt or killed or anything like that, but she had no recollection of it because she was driving. I guess she had mixed up her medication and took an Ambien for breakfast instead of at nighttime. And she's literally saying, test my alcohol, test anything you want. Like, well, we found Zolpidem in your bloodstream. Shit, did I take Ambien for breakfast? Yeah.
Oops.
Yep. By the way, not the worst thing you can do on Ambien. Roseanne Barr taught us there is a worse thing you can do. So, Kathleen Kennedy, RFK Jr.'s sister, will become the lieutenant governor of Maryland. Her tragedy comes around, though, because her daughter Maeve and Maeve's 8-year-old son will disappear in the Chesapeake Bay. This is in 2020, and their bodies are found a week later, accidental drowning in the cold and turbulent waters of the Chesapeake Bay. Nothing funny I can say about that. Pure tragedy.
Yeah. With RFK, too. He marries Ethel, right? So Bobby Kennedy marries Ethel, and just Ethel happens to be Gene Kennedy's roommate.
No shit.
Yeah. So
they really all meet each other in the weirdest
right,
ways.
Right. So Gene Kennedy is roommate with Ethel, who later marries Bobby Kennedy. Ethel Kennedy, her parents are killed in a plane crash. So, I mean, there's a tragedy on Ethel's side.
Ugh.
That's what happens when you marry a Kennedy, that, your family's not safe. So her parents, both parents are killed in a plane crash. And then her sons, David and Michael, are both killed. So,
somebody's got it out for this family.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah. Again, it's not just one generational kind of a thing. It's it just continues on and on for this family.
Well, you make enough enemies in the bootlegging industry, Cuban dictators, the Central Intelligence Agency. Not all of these tragedies are happenstance. Some of them are probably planned behind in a dark room with cigarettes and stuff. But some of these other tragedies, how do you plan a canoeing incident going wrong? I mean, the tragedy is bigger than that. That's the real curse of this family here. You can't even predict how it's going to come. So RFK, by the way, RFK Jr., who, again, makes his round on comedy podcast. Seems like a fun guy to hang with. He's a bit of a gym bro. That's kind of what he seems like. His wife, Mary Richardson Kennedy, who, after a 2-year separation from RFK Jr., they had 4 children, by the way. She's a Jersey girl, too, or at least she was. I have to put this posthumously. And I hate that I have to do it this way for YouTube, but she will actually, her cause of death will be slip and slide, if you guys get what I'm saying here. Their divorce and her death draws heavy attention and publicity, along with accusations that RFK Jr. was a serial philanderer. The Kennedy men have some vices. The biggest one is women. And by the way, RFK Jr. is now married to Cheryl Hines, who I would consider a very attractive actress, okay? The Kennedys and their Hollywood women, they're always going to find him here.
Little trouble keeping it in their knickers.
Oh, it's terrible now. They like partying a little bit too. Now, Joe Kennedy wanted his kids to not drink alcohol,
Right.
at least until they were older. He actually paid them money not to do so, probably because he knew that substance abuse was going to lead to problems here. Another total tragedy on this one here. RFK Jr., his sister Courtney, will experience tragedy when her daughter, in 2019, will accidentally overdose at the Kennedy compound, lost her life at age 22 years old. So, Carolyn Kennedy, JFK's older sister, she will now, has just, I guess not to, what was it? She lost her daughter Tatiana to leukemia in 2025, and she seemed to acknowledge her family's familiarity with tragedy, showcasing her sadness that her terminal diagnosis would give more pain to her mother and the family that never seems to get a break from grief. They are just in between tragedy at any given time here. And then we're going to get to the last one here because we are wrapping up. Am I missing anything before we hop in on JFK Jr.?
No, I think we got it. I mean, Joe Kennedy Sr., he suffers a stroke too and is wheelchair bound, but still has his mental facilities, if you will, but is basically, an invalid that
Trapped in your own body.
Trapped in your own body. So, I mean, that's tragedy in itself too. I would think that,
without a doubt. You climbed to Mount Everest, and then there's just
right.
The highs have to be that good because the lows are goddamn low for this family. So, how can I tell the story of the tragedy of the Kennedys without mentioning probably the most famous and possibly the most tragic one here? JFK Jr., the little boy who saluted his father's casket at his burial, the little boy who grew up in the White House.
Right. He was a 3-year-old when his father was assassinated.
He's playing in the Oval Office with toys in the corner. It is amazing. His father's handling the Cuban Missile Crisis, and this kid's shitting his pants. There's adults shitting their pants. They weren't supposed to.
Right.
All right? But yeah, he creates the public image is immediately burning bright with this kid. This is a kid who's pretty much born in the White House, lived overseas in Ireland for a bit. His mother was so freaked out when JFK Jr.'s uncle, RFK, got killed by Sirhan that she takes the family and goes, they're killing Kennedys, my kids are targets, we're going to Ireland. Sits down and has a meeting with Eamon de Valera, the first president of the Republic of Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 26 plus 6 equals 1, so they say, but at the time, it was just the 26. So, but that's a pretty big thing. You're meeting presidents, you're meeting heads of state, and you're not even fully potty trained yet. Kind of wild. Now that little boy is going to turn into a very handsome man who's going to have all the Kennedy charm, grow up being a Kennedy. He is famous from birth, essentially. His mother is going to marry Mr. Onassis, Aristotle Onassis, a Greek shipping magnate,
right,
I believe.
Right.
And so he's actually going to grow up bouncing around Ireland, spend his early years in the White House, and then winds up living on the Greek island of Scipios. I think I'm right on that. So he, by the way, did not like his stepfather, openly said I considered him to be a joke. So they didn't really click or whatever like that. He goes, I know who my dad is. My dad was the guy that tried to change America and caught one for it.
Right.
So he knows the deal. He understands the legacy. He's handsome. He's charming. He knows exactly what to do. He can handle the paparazzi because he's never lived without it. Okay? It's not like an overnight success
the only thing he's known.
He's grown up with it. That's what happens when you're born essentially in the White House. So becomes a bit of a finance bro. But he'll also meet Mother Teresa. He understands the paparazzi. He'll ride his bike around Tribeca, I believe. I think that's where he had a place. So you'd be excited. Like, oh, JFK Jr. just rode by on a bicycle. He's got his father's charm, his mother's looks. She was a sexy lady. In 1988, he is named People Magazine's sexiest man alive. A Kennedy, the sexiest man alive. NYU Law School is where he's going to wind up next. He'll fail the bar twice, but he's a Kennedy, so the third shot's going to be the one that gets him over the hump here. He's still doing better than Kim Kardashian in that regard. Carly taught me that one. Thank you, baby. He's going to get a job with the DA's office. So he's now in the district attorney's office in New York City. He has a career in magazines, right? He'll lock down interviews with big names. And of course, when you're a handsome guy and a Kennedy and you're involved in the media and politics and you're a high-profile lawyer and you come from probably the most famous political family in America, you're going to start banging hot chicks. I'll tell you what, Dom, there's a couple guys out there. I think about this one, and I don't mean to make too much light of it. Pete Davidson, right? Pete Davidson had to go through the tragedy of losing his father on 9/11. That I will never. My birthday's 9/11. I'll never. You can never diminish that. And then Pete Davidson starts banging every chick I've ever been attracted to in Hollywood, right? So I don't know if the tragedy just brings the women in or anything. If it's like when a woman's lonely, cats arrive. But when a man is lonely and sad, then hot chicks are just knocking down your door here. Who's the Dom? Who's the chick from the Underworld movies? The smoke show. She's a total.
The Underworld movies?
Yeah, Underworld. She was the vampire one. Kate Beckinsworth. Kate Beckinsworth. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I would consider her probably one of the most attractive women on planet Earth. Pete Davidson.
Besides Carly.
That's it. Yes, of the public sphere. Although Carly gets Googled a lot. Guys, you guys are getting weird with that. So Pete Davidson's hooking up with all these chicks here. JFK Jr. is going through it is a Rolodex, folks. This is what happens when you're voted the sexiest man alive. You can start banging. First of all, he gets into theater as well, too, which is, of course, going to just endear himself more. Plays himself on TV a few times. He starts dating, on again, off again, Daryl Hannah at her hottest. Sarah Jessica Parker at her hottest. By the way, I used to catch a lot of crap for finding her attractive on Sex and the City. People give me crap for that, but if she's good enough for a Kennedy, she's good enough for you, all right? Get over yourself. Yeah, also, Cindy Crawford, buddy. Cindy Crawford. Yep, met her as a model. She was a cover model for the magazine he worked on, and then he was dating Cindy Crawford. But apparently he had a thing for blondes because he's also going to bang out Primo Madonna, too. There is a story I couldn't confirm that I guess she was talking about his prowess as a lover. And then because of that, I guess she couldn't meet Jackie O. Because there's a picture of Jackie O in 1993. Let me tell you, she can still get it. But he does wind up getting married to Carolyn Bessette. Now, she finds the paparazzi and attention overwhelming. Sarah Jessica Parker once joked that she never understood dating someone famous. She herself was famous, too. Sarah Jessica Parker was a child actor, I think. She was in movies for forever. So she thought she was famous until she saw what real fame looked like, and that's being a Kennedy. So she understood the chaos that goes with that. Carolyn Bessette had a real hard time with that one. She's dating JFK Jr. They wind up getting married. Incredibly private ceremony. Only 40 people are there. JFK and Carolyn seemed stuck in the crosshairs of the curse over here, though. And in 1999, and this tripped me out because I didn't know this until I did the reading on this one, a plane carrying them both, piloted by JFK Jr., whose entire life had dreamed of being a pilot, will depart from Fairfield, New Jersey. Dad, we drive by this thing on the regular.
Yeah.
My old excavation shop was behind this airport, and I never knew that he had taken off from there on this ill-fated trip until the plane will crash in Martha's Vineyard. It will hit the ocean. It will kill all passengers. There's a search and rescue event for a couple of days. The U.S. Navy is called in. You're looking for essentially American royalty. There are no survivors. I believe Carolyn Bessette, her sister, JFK, and then one other person, I believe, were in the plane. And now JFK Jr., the heir to the kingdom, if you will,
right.
The last idea of Camelot, is dead in 1999. I was in 5th grade, and I wanted to learn more about this, but Stone Cold Steve Austin had just won the Royal Rumble and got a rematch.
That trumps that.
Yeah, and he had a title shot against The Rock at WrestleMania 16, and I was pretty excited. 15, I'm sorry. 15. Otherwise, Garifo would be in the comments correcting me.
There you go.
So shout out Kevin Garifo. Now, from their time as a displaced ruling clan in Ireland to the heart and soul of Massachusetts politics to the White House to national institution here, this Kennedy family has gone through the ringer. We're landing this plane. Bad joke, I suppose. Didn't mean to do that, but it is what it is. We're going to successfully land this plane, LP. What do you want to say to the people on the way out?
No, it's just that, again, what you said early on, that whatever your opinion is of the Kennedy family, you're probably right, because you can point to something that's within their sphere, if you will, that gives you credibility to that. But it's just they certainly served their country and paid the price. For whatever fame and fortune they acquired, they paid the price.
Well, they're going to wind up paying the price, but that's what happens when you have the money in order to make things happen, right? So it is what it is. But anyway, the Kennedy family is still convoluted. There's still a lot of people still in politics right now, so this story is not going away anytime soon. There could be that return to the era of power of the Kennedys here. It's very much within the realm of possibility, as anything is with politics. But for me, I'm going to wrap that one up. I want to tell you guys a couple things real quick. Number one, we still love doing the show. Give all your love to Dom on this one. He really puts in a lot of effort here. Paco bailed on him. I don't know what happened. Is Paco getting fired too now? Is that what's happening, Dom?
I hope not.
No, we love Paco. Paco is doing a spot with Bobby Kelly, who's like my comedy dad, if you will. All right. But Bobby also gets mentioned in this book here. History Isn't Boring, Your Teacher Was, written by me. If you guys like those Instagram reels I did, the 90-second versions, give this to your uncle who doesn't use the computer because he's spooked out by Ruby Ridge. Then tell him a couple weeks ago we did an episode about Ruby Ridge.
Ruby Ridge, right.
So
make him tune in.
Oh, yeah. And again, for me, at social media, it's at KP Burke Sucks over on Instagram. I love hearing from you guys. I truly love it when you guys send me topics because we get a lot of really good ones here. Shout out real quick to Hugh Braddock. He's one of our overseas listeners. He always signs his messages, love from the UK. Hugh, you're a good man. And you got a lot of great ideas, and I am going to get a couple of those topics you sent me into the rotation over here. And then, of course, we got a million fans we would love to thank personally. We don't have the time. I got a huge show coming up March 14th, Dojo of Comedy in Morris Plains, New Jersey. I hope to see you guys there. We had a cool secret meeting that I can't exactly talk about yet, but something else pretty big is in the works.
Yeah.
It's as excited as I've been about anything in a while, LP.
Yeah, that would be a big one.
It took me years to work up the courage to ask this favor and months to lock down the meeting, but it went so swimmingly well that I'm very excited. I have imposter syndrome sometimes. I feel like I'm not supposed to be here today, but Dad, I'm supposed to be there that day.
I'm supposed to be here today.
Okay, so some people are going to figure that one out immediately, but we're very excited about some cool stuff we have coming up. And again, my last real big, I got a bunch of shows coming up. They'll be up on the website as well. But the big one, my last local one for a while is March 14th. I got to come off the road a little bit. I got a baby boy on the way. We're naming him, not Kennedy. I know that much.
Not even as a middle name.
Yeah, we're naming him Brody Patrick Burke. And so Patrick is the name in our family. I'm KP. He's LP. And then was Peepaw?
Francis Patrick. So, yeah, we got our own little tiny legacy here. But we're just, we have some charm, too. We don't have Kennedy charm, but we got that. Part of the Irish style. I can't make up too many different names. They got to stick with the old stuff.
No, and I again, we have some Burke charm to us here. It doesn't quite get us into the politics nature of it, but we are fun people to hang out with here. And I might not have banged Marilyn Monroe, but one time I made Carly dress up as her. That being said, my girl
Maybe
Carly...
she can sing "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" to you, and
that would be
get
great.
away with it.
Yes, Mr. Host. But yeah, guys, check everything out here. The dojo one's important to me because Mike Romanelli, who runs it, and Sam Tripoli, who's become a great friend of mine, they're actually letting me take 100% of the door. That is insanely rare in the world of comedy, and they're doing that for me because I believe in that club. I've done a ton of stuff with them. Recorded my first, I'm the first person to record a special over there. And then on top of that, they know that I'm struggling, folks. Okay, I got a baby coming into the world.
That's right.
I'm going to have, it's diaper money. It's a lot of crazy shit over here.
Wait till you see what formula costs.
Oh God! Well, good news is Carly's going to be breastfeeding. I think a lot.
Yeah.
And I will posit my final theory on this show here. Carly told me if she drinks alcohol, when she's able to start having a casual drink again, you have to dump that breast milk. I don't know if you knew this. You have to dump that breast milk because there's trace amounts of alcohol in it. And that's when I realized that's what Bailey's Irish Cream is. It's Irish women's breast milk with trace amounts of alcohol in it. But damn, does it taste nice in a coffee. Larry Burke, you're heading to South Beach. You want to say goodbye to listeners for a little bit?
We'll catch you on the flip-flop on that one for sure.
We're sneaking you back up for March.
We'll be back up in March for the season of St. Patrick. It's too big a holiday for just one day, so it's the season of St. Patrick, the month of March, and we'll be around.
You got it. So thank you again to everybody who makes the show possible. It means the world to me. This is my passion project. That being said, that was the curse of the Kennedys, American Losers.
On the edge they take the throne, built on bones of those unknown.